Shout out to them. Yeah, shout out to Digital Foundry. About to get this started. I was letting a few more people come on in here. Yo, Salty, what's good, player? Right the Emperor, what's good? What's good? What's good? I'm actually doing a simultaneous stream to stream to YouTube as well as doing the Twitter Spaces. I'm trying to work this stuff out, but it looks like we're good, man. It looks like we're good. We're gonna make it work. Y'all see the title. Y'all know what it is. Digital Foundry came out and did a new comparison video, and the comparison video was Little Nightmares 2. Yeah, it's a multi-plat game, and so with that being said, Digital Foundry wanted to see what this latest ray tracing update was. Well, come to find out, Xbox, as usual, has been having an extremely hard time dealing with ray tracing in a lot of its games. If you notice, its first party games and games like Halo, which unfortunately it was originally promised that Halo Infinite would have ray tracing. So everyone was like, "Oh man, I can't wait to see it! I can't wait to see it." Then last July they showed us Craig, and and the rest is history. Pretty crazy, right? Yeah, that's crazy. Well, not as crazy as finding out that Forza Horizon 5 will only have ray tracing when you're sitting in a garage. Not when you're racing, not when you're actually racing, when you can see the fantastic visuals, the reflections off the cars, the updated water textures and stuff like that. Nah, you're not getting that. But only when you're sitting in the garage. And you know what? This probably wouldn't be a big of a deal if it wasn't for Microsoft themselves hyping up power, power, power. Y'all remember that? Power, power, power. Yeah, 12 T flops, the best hardware, full RDNA 2 with full ray tracing CUDA cores and all the other tech stuff that these Xbox tech guys were hyping up for the longest. Velocity engine, DX12 Ultimate is baked in the chip. It eats monsters for breakfast. Y'all remember that? Shout out to Aaron Greenberg. But here we go. This measly, and I love using the lore number that the Xbox community has baked for the PlayStation 5, 9.2 T flops. That RDNA 1.5 hybrid console is just killing it with ray tracing. If you guys have played games like Ratchet and Clank and Spider-Man Miles Morales and so on and so on, even Returnal, right? You're going to be hard pressed to find any better solution outside of PC for ray tracing, especially in the console space. Now, I was under the assumption because a lot of the Xbox fanboys had said, well, Microsoft basically built ray tracing with DXR, DirectX 12. So that, with all that being said, in the beginning, you would be hard pressed to find a better spec sheet than the Xbox Series X. And that's unfortunate because we're finding out now that not only does Xbox struggles with ray tracing, there's very few games that even support it on the platform. And now, according to Digital Foundry with Little Nightmares, they're using screen space reflection or SSR. But guess what? The PlayStation 5 version has ray tracing. and it's remarkable. It's diffused, shall I say. Shout out to Digital Foundry. I love using their words. It's crazy. Again, I keep going to the power narrative because before this generation started, right, it was all about the power. It was all about the T flops. It was all about, how many CUs you had in there, the size of the die of the CPU and the GPU. I mean, dudes was running with some of this goofy shit. I'm not making it up. Not at all. We have the tweets, we have the videos. I mean, we know what we see with our own eyes and hear with our own ears. I'm not making this stuff up. You can't make it up. This generation starts, Digital Foundry starts one by one, picking all this stuff apart. And what we see when it comes to performance, the PlayStation 5 totally destroys the Xbox Series X. And I'll never forget, right before these consoles started, how a lot of these journalists, a lot of these influencers were talking about how the Xbox Series S is really the competition for the PlayStation 5 because the Series S has a more powerful CPU. Y'all remember that? Now, I'm not making it up. I'm not making it up at all. But here's the thing, a bigger question. Why? Why is Xbox struggling? Like, I don't know what it is. Somebody need to say something. I hope it's a tech guy or somebody out there that can fully tell me why is the PlayStation 5 outdoing the world's most powerful console. It was the tools. I remember that. It was the tools. But then the tools came, according to certain podcasters, when the Xbox started having some of the better running versions of backward compatible games. But here's the thing. Little Nightmares 2 and other games that are running better on PlayStation 5 and has ray tracing, looks better, perform better, and everything else on the PlayStation 5, well, what happened to the tools? You can't run back to that tools narrative after you put it out there. Well, the tools have come. Oh, this is it. We're kicking ass and taking names. There is no point in this console comparison where the Xbox Series X should be falling to the PlayStation 5 because on paper, when you look at the specs on paper, the Xbox Series X is totally destroying the PlayStation 5. The problem is when something's on paper and when you finally boot these consoles up and boot these games up, your real world scenario and performance is totally different from what that paper should be. And this is crazy. I don't understand what the new narrative is going to be now. People spend $500 for this next generation console to have the finest pixels, the highest fidelity ray tracing, the highest pixels, the fastest frames, and everything else, right, that they promised us. Even with the Xbox Series S, they promised us 1440p, 120 frames, ray tracing, and all this other stuff. And they sold it very well. The way they spent it originally when they were talking about it, it seemed like, man, 1440p, I'm all good for it. That's all I need is 1440p. I'm getting 120 frames plus ray tracing for $299. That's a deal. Rest in peace, PlayStation. But then I think they didn't factor in that dude, Mark Cerny. They didn't factor him in. Shout out to Mark Cerny. Once they should have factored him in based on last generation and him making the PlayStation 4. We saw what he did with the PS4 Pro, which is 4.2 T flops. And we saw what Microsoft did with the Xbox One X with 6 T flops. We saw these consoles run neck and neck. And in some cases, the PS4 Pro actually outdid the Xbox One X. Now, here's the thing. You're going to have to choose your poison. You're going to have to choose your poison. When you go out here talking these specs and you're comparing it to high-end PCs that cost $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and you're talking about, well, the X Series X is equivalent to a 2080 Ti and is equivalent to a 3070 RTX and stuff like that, that's being disingenuous. And shout out to my PC brothers out there, man, for poking fun and laughing at the whole scenario. There is no situation or no scenario where a $300, $400, $500 console would ever outdo a 3090 or a 3080 or anything like that. Like, come on. But as console gamers, what we pay for the convenience, we pay for the closed environment, and we pay for a highly optimized experience. That's what you're paying for. On PC, you're paying for the best of everything. Not only do you have, Windows as a platform, but you can run other programs on there. You can stream straight from it. You can do OBS and all kind of other stuff for it. So a PC is a mixed-use scenario platform, whereas consoles, its only purpose is for gaming and gaming only. But prior to this generation, right before they launch these consoles, a lot of these Xbox guys will come out and say, listen, man, just get your X Series X, forget a PC. You're going to be running 120 frames in your games. It's going to be native 4K. It's going to have full-fledged ray tracing. Shout out to my man D-Batch. Let me get this person in here. Sparta, come on in. Let's hear from you. I want to see what you got to say. Come on in. Unmute your mic and you can go ahead and speak.
PlayStation is where it's at.
Big facts. Big facts.
I ain't spending that much money on no goddamn second place.
That's what I'm talking about. My brother said he ain't spending no $500 for second place. Actually, third place if you think about it, behind Nintendo.
That's true too.
That's crazy. So, what's your thought about Xbox and the lack of ray tracing and stuff?
I think they could have done better for how much they're worth.
Yeah, that's true.
They got Microsoft behind them. They can't compete with Sony. They got all that money.
Well, and that's another point too. The console does cost $500, so the entry fee is $100 more than the PlayStation 5 digital. So
craziness.
Yeah. So thank you for rocking out with me, brother. I appreciate it.
Yep, no problem.
You take it easy. All right, we're gonna get my brother Chris Righteous in here. Let him spit his facts. Hey Chris, we hear you live and direct, brother.
Yo, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear, brother.
All right, man. Nah, I mean, all you got you asking if there was like a tech guy. First of all, I'm not a tech guy, I'm not a developer, so I don't really know anything. But I do know that everything that Mark Cerny said last year, he was 100% correct and coming to fruition on how he built the PlayStation 5. That's all people got to do is once you go back and listen to what Mark Cerny was saying last year. I'm not going to go into everything. I'm not going to go through all the technical stuff. But the PlayStation 5 was designed for like the future and to take advantage of like future feature sets or whatever. And it seems like the Xbox Series X, while it does have obviously new tech and stuff in it, but I think they also shot themselves in the foot when it comes to the Xbox Series S as well, coming out with two
Mm-hmm.
different spec consoles or whatever. So now the developers, they're gonna have to waste more time and resources to make sure that their game is good for the Series S. And just like the guy from Remedy, he said it's not that simple just to like to what I'm talking about. He said it wasn't that simple to fit everything in it, or it's not that simple to what you
Yeah,
call it, to just port everything over or anything like that. So,
exactly.
and then we were told, about the power of the Series X, that the Series X was just gonna blow the PS5 out the water in every single category, in frames, and resolution, and ray
Mm-hmm.
tracing,
Talk
and
about it.
all this stuff, right? The Series X has full RDNA 2, and the PS5 doesn't have full RDNA 2, which people don't understand that the custom version of the PS5 RDNA 2, as of right now, as of we know, it's showing that it's better than the standard
Absolutely.
version of the full RDNA 2 from the
Mm-hmm.
Xbox or whatever, right? Then they made excuses about the tools, and then the tools finally came at the beginning of the year. So what's the excuses now? It's like, bro, it's like, come on, like the way Sony designed the PS5, they designed it with like a future, like with the future in mind, was actual next gen in mind. And then for some reason, it just seems like Xbox, they just went with the typical way that they usually do things. They just up the Series X is really just an upgraded One X, and they made a feature set that's beneficial to backwards compatible, right? That's why you're
Yeah,
seeing these games get more patches, because everything is like one SKU or some shit to do with like one SKU, so it's easier for them to patch it. Versus the
exactly.
PS5, they have to do a whole separate version. It's not that the PS5 isn't capable, because we already seen the PS5 do games at 120 FPS, better than the Xbox Series X in those same games. Call of
Absolutely.
Duty, Cold War, so it's like a lot of people just fell for the spec
Okie
sheets,
doke. Yeah,
and they didn't take in consideration that what Mark Cerny was saying, how the PS5 was designed is there's no bottlenecks, and everything's supposed to be just extremely efficient, right? They
yeah,
they went for efficiency, speed, performance, and
absolutely.
and all that stuff. And I don't know what Xbox, they did their thing, and that's not saying that Series X is trash in any way like that, because it's still gonna be good. It's still gonna provide a good results and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But with the PS5, it being like the only SKU, right?
Mm-hmm.
And developers, they don't have to worry. At least the first party, they don't have to worry about doing like a lesser version on like a lesser PS5 or whatever, like Microsoft needs to do with their
Yeah.
consoles. So on top of that, and then we've seen developers say over and over again that they prefer working with the PS5. I know Jason Schreier say he heard multiple devs telling him that the PS5 was better in several ways. The Crytek dev said that that all the developers that he know prefer the PS5. They did a GDC poll where developers chose the PS5. But you have all these other people, these non-developers, to tell you that the PS5 was trash and that it's weak. It can't do this. It can't do that. But
Yep.
then, like damn near like almost every time, not every time, because sometimes the Series X does have advantage of some of these multiplats. But it
Yeah.
shouldn't be. It shouldn't be some. It should be
All of them.
every game. Every
Yeah.
game, like the PS5 shouldn't keep up. It shouldn't be able to do anything that the Series X is doing. It shouldn't even keep up. And so,
Absolutely.
so yeah, it's just it was mainly these fanboys that try to write checks that the Xbox devs can't cash or whatever, or some of these third party devs can't cash.
Absolutely.
So yeah, but I mean, in all honesty, man, like I'm happy that we're getting amazing performance, right? Especially with the PS5, like every single game, like every single next generation game that they put out,
Mm-hmm.
all have options for 60 FPS. It's not
Absolutely.
just it's only 30 FPS or anything like that, right? So,
Yeah.
and some of them have options for 60 FPS plus ray tracing, like Ratchet and
Absolutely.
Clank and Spider-Man Miles Morales, and they're doing that in the beginning of the generation. They're getting this new tech, right,
Mm-hmm.
down at 60 FPS, right? To me, I would have figured if these consoles were to do ray tracing at 60 FPS, that it would be like how the PS4 Pro is whenever frame rates are unlocked and it's dipping between like 40 to 50 and then 50 to 60 up and down or whatever. But the PS5 is not doing that. That shit is staying locked at 60, 99.9% of the time, on games like Ratchet and Clank and shit like that. So
Exactly.
it's just crazy how everything flipped, how these people, so they sold you these wolf tickets, right, about the Series X, all powerful, and how it's supposed to do all these things better than the PlayStation 5, but then now to turn around almost a year later, and we've seen way better results with the PS5, and we haven't seen anything from the Series X when it comes to that. So,
Exactly. Well,
yeah,
thank
that's
you,
all I
brother.
would. Yeah, no problem,
Thank
man.
you for coming out. You know what I'm saying, spitting that knowledge. He made a very great point. I got you, Mustafa. You coming next? He made a very great point. These dudes were waiting on the tools, right? But what they didn't calculate is that Sony themselves were updating their tools. They're consistently updating their tools. They're consistently doing various things, So that's, you know what? That's a great point. While you're thinking about, well, Microsoft is working on their tools, they're doing this, and it's like, guess what? Sony isn't sitting still. You think they're just sitting still? And they're like, hey, this is it. We're done. We're going to just throw this out here. That's it. We don't need to do anything else. No. These dudes are doing the exact same thing. They're working on their tools. They're updating their stuff, updating hardware, software, and everything else. Again, it's just some things that we need to think about. A lot of dudes did write a bunch of checks that Jason Ronald couldn't cash, Phil Spencer couldn't cash, Matt Booty couldn't cash, and the game situation is just something else. Now, here's the thing about it: this Little Nightmares 2 is a third-party game. It's a multiplayer, a third-party game. PlayStation has better ray tracing in generally 99% of the multiplex. I just want to know, where are we with the full RDNA 2 hardware based ray tracing? Because guys told me the PS5 didn't have hardware based ray tracing, but it was software based. Shout out to my brother Post Up. Mustafa, I got you. Come on, man. Come on in. Let us know what you think. We can hear you, man.
Yo, Jaydub.
What up, my brother? Come on in. He must be. He's having some issues. But yeah, basically what it boils down to is, when we got the tools, when and where are we going to start seeing the Xbox Series X kick ass? We do know some of the issues that the Xbox have, right? Such as the Xbox Series S existing. The different amounts of RAM that's in the X Series X, I think it's 10 gigs available for gaming, and the rest is for all kind of other stuff. 2 different types of memory. And this stuff it's customized, right? It's customized. Now, hopefully, Jason Ronald and all these tech guys at Microsoft can work this shit out, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good when you tout it on your box, when you tout it for years, right? All of the specs and all of this power that's going to have, and it's supposed to be so much more powerful, but in real world performance, it's showing the opposite. I'm going to try you again, Mustafa. There you go. Come on in, man.
Hey, yo.
We hear you, brother, loud and clear.
Yo, I ain't got much to say yet, but ray tracing is overrated, fam.
Oh, I can understand that. Ray tracing is overrated.
But Xbox is still shit, though, fam.
Well, if you think about it, right?
One second. It cut me off, fam.
Go ahead.
No, I gotta end it. I gotta go.
Okay. All right. You take it easy.
Sorry, fam.
All right. Remnant of Despair. My brother, come on in, man. Talk about it. Let's see what you got to say about the situation. Remnant, yeah.
My
There
dog.
you go.
Hold on.
We hear you loud and clear, man.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, like, you know how people back in the day were paying attention to the numbers, right? Like what the consoles have and all that stuff. It reminds me of a video that Cortex did a while ago called AMD Checkmate. He ended up saying that back in the day, numbers really meant a thing, but now it's completely different. Especially with the whole architecture with the PS5. Sorry, man, I woke up late. I'm tired as hell. What was I going to say? But I think it was Chris Lights that ended up saying it. He ended up saying that the whole mistake of the Series S, they don't have to worry about two consoles, and I don't think they're going to fully upgrade. I mean, a fully developed game for the Series X. Which is kind of alarming. You know what I mean? But it's all I got to say. My bad, dude. My mind's just a little buzzy right now.
No problem. No problem.
All right, talk to you later, brother.
You take it easy, man. Yeah. So here's the thing about it, right? Okay. The numbers, I've always said this. What you see on the spec sheet is not necessarily what you're gonna get. It's not necessarily what you're gonna get. Not all components are made the same. Not all the software is designed the same. Maybe DX12, right? Maybe Windows 10, the operating system for the Xbox. Maybe it's just too bloated, right? Maybe it's more resource intensive than the PlayStation 5's operating system. There's a lot of factors that go into play when it comes to the performance of these consoles. It's not just about the raw metal. It's about how efficiently using the software you can take advantage of that raw metal. Again, on paper, the Xbox Series X looks like it should be running all these games with full-blown ray tracing, just knocking shit out. But that's not the case. You have to take into the account of the memory design. You got to take into the account of like I said, the software. Who knows? Windows 11 is coming out. Maybe Windows 11 update on it will do some magical stuff. I don't know. I'm not the tech guy. I just know what was promised to me by certain individuals in the community. A lot of these journalists and influencers, as well as Aaron Greenberg, Matt Booty, Phil Spencer, all of these guys eating the competition, for breakfast and shit like that. Well, I want to see some, I want to see the PS5 get eaten. When are we going to see that? When are we going to see that? How long is it going to take? We're talking about Digital Foundry coming to video after video after video after video, and in a lot of ways here, trying to tell you what I'm trying to tell you, but it's like, where's the extra 3 T-flops? Why does Little Nightmares 2 not have ray tracing in that game, but it has it on the PlayStation 5? And remember, the PlayStation 5 is not even full RDNA 2 according to the fanboys. Some people tell you it's not even RDNA 2, it's RDNA 1.5, or it's a hybrid of GCN and RDNA 1, right? I'm just using their words. I'm not making it up. I'm just using their words. But I want to know, man, what's up? When are we going to get that performance? Now, the X Series X and the X Series S isn't a hard sell per se, right? They both have games for them that you can thoroughly enjoy. But when you take to the account that the PlayStation 5 experience that you have with a full next generation controller, with full next generation features, with a full-blown new next generation console with 3D audio and the haptic feedbacks and the ultra fast no loading SSDs and actual games to showcase them, for $399, it makes it a little bit of a hard sell. It makes it a hard sell. Now, I'm just, again, y'all see the title. What's up with it? Is there some issues? Because I saw dudes on Twitter talking about the PS5 revision, the new revision that they have in place. They changed the heat sink a little bit. They made it a little bit smaller, and they're saying, "Well, look, PS5 is running 9 degrees hotter than it was before. This is the reason you should buy an X Series X and S instead of a PlayStation 5." I mean, of course, you can laugh and ridicule and stuff like that, but I like taking these dudes at what they say. Okay, fine. Let's say that's the case. Let's say the PS5 is overheating, it's doing all this stuff, right? Majority of people still are choosing PlayStation 5. And why is that? Why are these games still running better on the PlayStation 5 instead of the more powerful hardware? Shout out to Battlefield. Come on in, man. Let's hear and see what you got to say. Battlefield, you got the floor. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, man? We hear you loud and clear.
Hey, it's Heath.
What's good, brother?
Hey, how come we haven't heard any Xbox people talking about Paris saying you don't need an Xbox console to play with your friends in the future? He said that during the show.
Hey, man, that's probably because they don't want to believe it.
And think about it. Microsoft's trillion-dollar company does not come out and say stuff like that on a whim. So they're setting you up for later down the line, no matter who wants to admit it or not. That's exactly what they're doing by saying that.
Well, I don't know if you saw recently, about a month ago, but they're announcing they're coming out with these little streaming sticks. These little sticks you plug into your TV, and these little streaming little boxes where you don't actually have to have a console. xCloud is already a thing, right? So eventually you'll be able to play xCloud on any browser, any and everywhere, on your phone, your iPhone, or whatever. Maybe even your PlayStation 5 system. It's coming regardless. So they've already told us where they're going with this stuff. This is why it came out in the court document saying that Microsoft has never made any money in the 20-year history on any of the hardware of Xbox. So think about it. If you never made $1 from hardware, would you continuously make hardware? No, you wouldn't.
Nope.
What you would do is utilize your cloud servers that is allocated to everything from Windows, Office 365, Microsoft Dynamics 65, and everything else, right? You use your existing infrastructure to get it into the hands of people where they don't have to go out and spend $500 for a console or $300 or $400 for a console. Because guess what? The consoles don't make any money for them. PlayStation, it only took them 8 months to start cutting a profit on the PlayStation 5. Microsoft is not in that position. So they're telling you, hey, look, this shit is just going streaming for us. And, I'll be hard pressed to see next generation that that Microsoft even have a hardware console, actual console. I think it's just going to be their service. And that service, they've come out before saying, hey, Phil Spencer said he tried to put his service, right, on Nintendo, on Sony, and so far they've been turning it down. But who's to say that's going to continue in the future?
Yes, and the Game Pass, as more Microsoft Studios come out with games, the less third-party deals you'll see in Game Pass, because they'll just fill it in with their own games instead of buying. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Now you're right. So I don't know, I don't know what they're going to do as far as like how soon they're going to take this route, but we know it's coming. They've already said it. It's basically already in play.
Yep, exactly.
So what do you think about this whole ray tracing thing? The Xbox is struggling to do ray tracing. The new Little Nightmares comparison by Digital Foundry.
I wish we had one of the Microsoft devs come out and say something of why, because there has to be a reason why they're not doing it. You know what I mean? Either there's some reason why they can't, because if Little Nightmares is doing ray tracing on PS5, why isn't it doing on Series X? There's no reason why it shouldn't be able to. So I want to hear from a dev, because it's like we're just shooting in the dark. We have no clue.
Yeah. Now you're right. I don't know. I don't know. Will they ever tell us?
Probably not.
Mm, mm, mm. So again, we're left to speculate. We're left to question and wonder. And the whole fiasco about Halo Infinite not having ray tracing and Forza Horizon 5 only having ray tracing in that photo mode or whatever.
Yep.
That's not a good look.
Could that be the memory, the segmented memory, that it just can't load in enough?
Absolutely. It could be that they're trying to force, and this is a problem that Microsoft did with the Xbox One S. They're forcing 4K, right? They force 4K, and I don't know why. They can go back on their word and say, hey, look, 4K is not a main focus. How about we focus on checkerboard 4K or 1440p? Let's get this performance up because I would rather have frames over resolution any day. And most gamers said that last generation. Well, all of a sudden now, in a lot of these games, the game is running worse on the Xbox because they're trying to force a higher resolution. And I love PlayStation's direction on this. Give the performance. If as long as you have steady lock performance, the resolution can scale as needed, and gamers won't really care. And it's showing it. It's showing it in the reviews. It's showing it in the NPD numbers. It's showing it in the consoles being sold, breaking records. It's just showing it on Digital Foundry and NX Gamer channel and all that stuff. It's just showing it. People can see it. So,
yeah. Well, you can't see it unless you zoom in like Digital Foundry does. That's the only real way to see the difference in between the two.
No, you're right. No,
you're right. Yeah.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for
coming by. Later.
Let me get my brother in here. Let's talk to King's Bloods. Let him bless us with some of his wisdom, especially from a PC guy. King's Blood, come on in, brother.
Okay, my bad. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear, brother.
Listen, the problem is DX12. I don't know if y'all know or not. See, y'all on console, y'all gotta use whatever they give you. We get to choose between whether we want DX11 or DX12. DX12 is always the weaker one. Like, you take a performance hit being on DX12. Thing is, DX11 doesn't have ray tracing, so I feel like they probably developers are probably like pissed. DX12 is just trash. Like, I put it like this: they have the stronger GPU out of y'all two consoles. Like, it should never be neck and neck with them two. Never.
Absolutely.
Yo,
absolutely.
I got a 3090. No 3080 is ever close with me. Like, what are we talking about here? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's a joke to me.
Absolutely.
I mean, we never run the same frames, 3080 and a 3090. Y'all basically got the same. It's a little custom, you know. But it's still RDNA 2. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that they even be close is ridiculous.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to hear no custom because according to some people, well, PlayStation only has RDNA 1. If they got RDNA 1, it should not be close. I'm sorry. On PC, a 5700X is nowhere close to anything that they released. Like, it's nowhere close to what is it, 6700, 6800, whatever. It's not even close.
Yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense because, you know, when I'm on PC, you know, and I've been playing on PC for quite some time, but if you notice, there's always the two settings. You can choose DX11 or you can choose DX12.
And choose DX11 every time.
Is always problem free. You never have any problems. DX12 is a hit or miss, and I know it allows the ray tracing, but it takes, like I said, the performance takes a major hit, and just maybe the API isn't ready yet. Maybe, you know, who knows? Maybe they're gonna come out with DX13, you know, to be able to remedy that. Because this is not the first time that DirectX has had issues. I remember back when we had DirectX 10 and all kind of stuff like that. And when DirectX 11 came out, it was the same scenario. People would still choose DX10 over DX11. And eventually over time, right, it got better and then that became the mainstay. But I don't know.
It's kind of sad because, like,